It's every Red Raiders' favorite podcast. This is the Tech Talk Podcast from Double T 97.3.
Hi, how are you? Good afternoon. Very, very happy Monday to you. It's Tech Talk on Double T 97.3 and Double T 97.3.com alongside my compatriots, my comrades, my homeboys, Mike Gustafson, Clint Scott. I'm Aaron Dickens with you until 6 o'clock today. Would love to hear your thoughts and comments, as always, but especially today, on the Yates Flooring Center chat line at Double T 97.3.com. You can also access that through the Double T 97.3 mobile app presented by Happy State Bank. All guests appear via the Benchmark hotline. Gus, how you going?
We had a big weekend, man. So I'm good. About hard to draw it up much better than that.
You're right. It was very hard to draw it up much better than that, because while I think it certainly would have been a lot less stressful, and I think on some level just as enjoyable to just leave no doubt, right? Boat race them, the Longhorns. The game ending the way that it did, I think, pretty nice.
Yeah, really improbable in that. I mean, so much to process here, but yeah, them fumbling with the best running back who's not a fumbler, and on the first play of overtime was set up a sort of deliciousness. Because aren't you going into a deal like that going, all right, boys, hold them to 3? Well, that's what I do. You know, hold them to 3 right here. Hold them to 3 somehow, and then we're either playing to kick the tie or go score the touchdown to win.
I was too busy trying to keep myself from vomiting out of stress.
Yeah, I got
you. To really put together many coherent thoughts there, as just an endless kind of replay of the end of the 2020 game kind of goes over and over and over and over in my head. Once they march down the field in 20 seconds and kick a field goal to tie. But glad it worked out. But you're right. I mean, and that's like there's so much about that game that if you look at it and you would have said before the game, hey, Tech is going to go for it on 4th down 8 times and convert it 6 times, you would go, you take some crazy pill. I mean, you're insane. Bijan Robinson is going to fumble in overtime to set up the game winner for the Red Raiders. No, dude, pass me what you're smoking. That your run game would kind of come alive a little bit, right? For really the first time this season against a Texas defensive front that held its own against Alabama. Right. There's so much about what happened Saturday that there would have been no way for anybody to predict.
Right.
And that's what makes the sport so beautiful at times like this especially, and also very frustrating at times.
Yeah, and I'll say it. Of course, we're talking college football right now, and so that's good enough. But it's I think it's why we like all sports. I mean that's what sports gives us, right? This just fun theater. Let's back away from that game for a minute. Good Friday. Good, just overall weekend. Good for you.
Yeah, I mean, I'm glad that you wanted to back up because now it gives me some time to talk about the Last of Us trailer that was released. On HBO. Really excited about that. It's the TV adaptation of arguably one of the best video games of all time. No, Friday was great. Saturday was even better. I'm here to talk about the Longhorns.
Oh, absolutely, sure.
This is I'll be gone the rest of the week, so this is my only real.
You're all in.
Yeah, and had I known the result would be what it was, I maybe would have changed my plan so that I could kind of revel in it a bit longer.
Well, we had. Yeah, and again, we won't belabor this. This is our small talk to get us through the first 10 minutes, but we had. Judge sitting on 60 all weekend and not getting it through all the cut-ins and everything else. Of course, I was at the game, you weren't, so it's my understanding they cut in and voiced over the football game. Yeah.
It
was angst for a lot of folks, although something like that's, 3 plays or something? I mean, I assume it's not a 7 minutes of game time.
It was lengthy.
It probably felt longer given the status of the game.
It was lengthier than it should have been, and I feel like it's maybe easier or like kind of a cop-out for me to be this way since it directly affected me.
Right.
And I'm not some kind of
it's the
if
it's the Purdue game, who
party.
cares? Yeah, sure.
But in today's day and age, when you have dozens of different sports channels, no matter what kind of television package you subscribe to, when you have the internet and Twitter and video going out instantaneously almost whenever things happen on in real time, that felt very unnecessary. It was extremely frustrating at the time. It was maddening, and as I recall it, I don't think things were just going that great for Tech at that point, which kind of exacerbated the issue.
And it was like Tech was in a window, right?
It was 50-50 essentially. So the screen size was the same,
away,
but the audio was from New York
and
or I guess wherever they were.
Sure. And we had all the Apple Plus talk about Yankees, and then we get into Friday night and it's Pujols that goes $6.99 and $700
also on Apple TV Plus.
Yeah, also on Apple TV Plus. So that had all centered on, and because I actually got in the car and flipped over to satellite radio to get on the game, and I hit it just right for $6.99. I thought, is this a highlight? I mean, because I flipped it on and within 2 hitters, boom, and I thought, you know what? And they had all 4 voices. They had both radio voices and both TV voices. Like, it was a crowded booth, but I think they were sticking the third guy, kind of rotating the third mic, but they let the radio guy call it. Longtime radio guy, longtime TV guy, but they had kept the dynamic entirely in there. And so now what you're seeing just in Cardinals media circles is them sticking the radio call over, which is great. But for Cardinals radio. But yeah, it was just a fun week. But he made that so anticlimactic, and it was out on the West Coast. Mm-hmm. So you kind of woke up to it if you weren't paying attention. And like I said, fortunately I was. Like, wow, that thing. He just put an end to that deal. It didn't even draw out. Like, Judges is dragging out, and you could tell he's pressing a little bit. Albert went, "Hey, hold my beer. We're done here, boys." So yeah, fun sports weekend. But golly, that
and
game,
you'll be there on Friday.
Yeah, I will. And that'll be a fun weekend. But just this whole Saturday, we got some dinner on the way home from the game and got settled into the couch, and it was like, oh no, we're it's 7:45 and we're like done.
Yeah,
a long hot day.
Physically, mentally, emotionally,
sure,
draining.
all good. Yeah, but just one of those things that you go, hey, I'm glad we took care of that game, because we were going to be hot, tired, drained, and got to go home hot, tired, drained, and victorious.
And then you woke up on Sunday morning, and the second thing that goes through your head after, like, oh, now I'm awake, is, oh yeah.
Yeah,
that happened yesterday. That was real.
Yes, it did. I went over to soccer yesterday, and was hoping for the full Longhorn sweep. Didn't get that, but watched some
rare adversity against the Longhorns this calendar year for Texas Tech athletics. It's not really been that way,
right?
For the most part. I mean, the men's basketball team swept Texas. Mm-hmm. Women's basketball team split that series, which I think is extremely impressive given how kind of down that program has been over the last decade or whatever. Football won.
Yeah,
baseball
wins the series. Yeah. Pretty good 2022 right there.
Just getting started here on Tech Talk. More coming up next.
It's every Red Raiders' favorite podcast. This is the Tech Talk Podcast from Double T 97.3.
Hi, how are you? Good afternoon. It's Tech Talk on Double T 97.3 and Double T973.com. Time for your look at today's biggest sports headlines. Brought to you by our friends at Specs Wine, Spirits, and Finer Foods. 2 convenient locations here in Lubbock. You've got 4th Street and the West Loop behind the Whataburger, and also Slide Road and 69th Street. And if you can't get out and about to get your shopping done, you can also go to specsonline.com at any time. Time for some quick headlines. All Texas Tech related for the most part. We will have the Dallas Cowboys for you coming up tonight at 6 o'clock for Monday Night Football as they take on the New York Football Giants in New York. Kickoff 7:15 Central Time. ESPN will have the television coverage. Our pregame coverage will start for you at 6 here on Double T 97.3. Big 12 announced its Week 4 football awards, and Texas Tech's Reggie Pearson was the co-defensive player of the year. Of the week, yes, hopefully the year.
Yeah,
I'm just getting ahead of myself. And then Trey Wolf was named the special teams player of the week. Of course, Pearson had a big-time interception in the Red Raiders' come-from-behind win over Texas. He also recovered a massive fumble in overtime, had a season-high 5 tackles. And then Trey Wolf was 3 for 3 on field goal attempts. And all 3 of those came in the second half or in overtime. And then finally, Big 12 just announcing in the last 17 minutes or so, they will be fining Texas Tech and issuing a public reprimand as a result of the field storming incident that occurred on Saturday at the conclusion of Saturday's overtime victory against Texas. Yada, 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 blah, blah, blah. Let's move on. And, of course, the juice brought to you by our friends at Specs Wine, Spirits, and Finer Foods. This on the Yates Flooring Center chat line. What's up, guys? Listening in from the airport in Louisville. I've been at a music festival and received the news of Tech's win just as Kiss took the stage. Awesome weekend. This on the chat line. How will the Red Raiders move past the emotions and all the good things that came after beating Texas and focus on beating another tough opponent? Will we be wondering what happened this time next Monday? Listen, college football is a week-to-week sport, right? I will say this until I am blue in the face. It is every game is self-contained for the most part. There are some exceptions. There are some machines out there. There are some programs that are so talent-laden that their margin for error is, it's like, you know, trying to kick a hockey puck through a goalpost, like a soccer goal. I mean, that was a terrible analogy, but you get what I'm saying. Yeah. Tech is not one of them. Most programs in the Big 12, in fact, all the programs in the Big 12 are not like that. Georgia, Alabama, Ohio State, probably. That list is small. So you could easily go up there and get whipped, right? Just like K-State got whipped at home by Tulane and then went on the road and beat Oklahoma the next week. And then, hey, what did Tulane do this weekend? They lost to Southern Miss. So if you lose on Saturday, again, don't draw any kind of big-time conclusions, just like you probably shouldn't draw any big-time conclusions from what happened Saturday. Wait and save your conclusion drawing for after the season.
I can tell you that it was one of the questions Coach McGuire was asked today at media, and I don't know that we've got that audio yet, but okay, yeah, I think that's in process. Of course, the media availability just happened in the last couple hours, but it was specifically asked because it's a great question. I mean, and it's what we all do.
And it's a valid question.
Yeah,
for
we all did what the team does. We all celebrated or felt the repercussions of our celebration for about 24 hours.
Oh no, I'm still going.
Oh, all right, nice. Well,
I don't adhere to that rule.
We need you to get focused.
Yeah.
You can tell who's got the rest
I'm
of the week.
Steve.
That's right. And by the way, it did hit me like Saturday night, like, oh yeah, Coach Sarkisian's first name is Steve, and so I think that's what he had in mind the entire time back on July 10th when he said that.
Suck it, Steve.
And there you go.
Your team's poor.
There it is, right there.
You know, Joey McGuire has more ranked wins as the head coach of Texas Tech than Sark has as coach of the Longhorns.
And they've, I know,
and McGuire's been here for 4 games,
right? And Sark's, they lost their last 5 road games. Yeah, but you know, anyway, Coach McGuire said they specifically met and addressed that last night, like. You know, as they flip the page and talk to the team and talk to the leadership, like it's all right. You know, let's turn the attention to next week. And he talked about, you know, players of that age and just the emotion that goes into it, and guys getting patted on the back all day. I mean, this was this was in your heyday of covering the team, probably sitting at the press conference when this was said. But the heyday of the old Mike Leach. You know, fat little girlfriends deal, because they had pulled off a big win. You probably name the games. I can't. pulled off a big win and then came back the next week with a disappointing result. And the gist of his deal was basically, they sat around all week and got told how great they were and didn't respond to it. So
You're better off having too small of a package than too big a one.
That's true. That's true. And I think you would like to think that it helps too, right? Yes. Not only, hey, K-State is ranked. Not only have you not won there since maybe 2008. Not only are you riding a lengthy losing streak to them, and also, oh, by the way, they just won in Norman, right? So so there's really, it's not like you're playing, Texas State. I would have said Kansas before the season, but can't really say that now.
Nope.
It's not like you're playing some kind of gimme opponent that's easy to overlook, right? Kind of like Iowa State was.
Sure.
Back in the day. When Tech beat Oklahoma in Norman and came back the next week, #settle out the Jones, and they got whipped 41-7 by Jared Barnett. I mean, who even is that? Who remembers that guy? Nobody. So you would think that it checks all the boxes of a team that should have your full attention no matter what happened the week before. But as we know, man, again, week-to-week sport. And it's just kind of a funny – and if you lose on Saturday, it's not automatically because, they just got, they just overlooked.
Got the big head, sure.
K-State's good, guys. I mean, by the way.
Yeah, K-State gets 85 scholarships as well. They've probably – they've got a lot going for them. And they do, and we could spend more time getting ready for them. But, what you and I had discussed in the context of the build up to the Texas game was a couple things. You're about to get 2 weekends a row against two of the best, if not the best, running backs in the conference. A little bit different style and all, but then the other thing is a veteran defense, and this group here has an edge rusher that's an NFL prospect, and boy, they got tremendous play from that great big nose guard, whatever dude that was swatting down passes in Norman the other night and just getting a push on that center. Like if you're Wilburn, you're going, oh great, like 2 weeks in a row. That's and a pretty good chance that you're about to play 5 ranked teams in a row. I mean, now we know that Houston slid here and Texas dropped that whatever. We know that these things are going on, but pretty good chance that when we play them, we will be playing the next 2 weeks, and then
welcome to the Big 12, Joey McGuire.
Nope,
not a really just super welcoming schedule to start things off, but that's what you have, and so far it's worked out, right? You're 3-1. You're not.
Who wouldn't have taken 3-1 at this
Everybody
point?
would have for sure, and certainly not going to apologize for losing in Raleigh to NC State. You certainly made plenty of mistakes. Could have won that game if you played much better. But it is what it is, and I think to Tech's credit, it seemed like in a lot of ways they maxed out on Saturday, and that's really all you can ask for in terms of, we know that they're limited in some spots, we know that they're inexperienced in some spots, sometimes the same spots, but your O-line I think played its best game of the season. I think that Donovan played his best game of the season. Your special teams were generally pretty good. Defense. A little bit of special team shakiness right out of the gate. Big return to start it. A shank punt. I'm like, man, here we go. We're a quarter and a half into this thing going. And then they really settled in and played well down the stretch. And obviously, and again, I know the field goals are part of the special teams. But it's when I think about special teams, I'm thinking like punt block, kick return, all that kind of stuff. But all of that funneled into a really nice day for that third side of the ball. And then the defense just outstanding. Not the Kiss song that I would have chosen, but still a very good one. Yeah. More Tech Talk next.
The podcast that finishes your workday in a very Red Raider way. This is the Tech Talk Podcast from Double T 97.3.
Hello there, it's Tech Talk on Double T 97.3 and Double T973.com with Mike Gustafson and Clint Scott. I'm Aaron Dickens. Thrilled to be with you here from the First United Bank Double T 97.3 studio. We're with you until 6 o'clock. We'd love to get your thoughts and your comments through the Yates Flooring Center chat line at Double T973.com. You can also access that through the Double T 97.3 mobile app presented by Happy State Bank. We will get to as many of your texts today as we possibly can. A bit of a warning, though. I'm not just super interested in litigating field rushing for the next 2.5 hours. It happened. Tech was reprimanded and fined, whatever. You shouldn't do. You shouldn't run into people, whether you're a Texas football player, a Texas Tech fan. Your name is Steve. Your name is Joe. Who cares? I mean, just don't be a Richard, right? The end.
Yeah, if you're running on the field, don't. Yeah, I mean, and maybe there's a way to do that safely. They've figured it out in basketball. It seems like it's a much harder thing, just the magnitude of it. Pulling a rope in football is not going to work to corral.
No, need a pretty big rope.
8,000 people or whatever, however many that is, that run out there. But if there was a way to do it safely, or after the other team leaves or something, that would be a fun kind of thing. But doesn't feel like that's.
And Yormark was there on Saturday.
Yes, he was.
He witnessed all that live.
He was in the house.
What? I think he probably enjoyed it was a net positive for him. All right.
Yeah, I would think so, and for all the right reasons, because this dude's going, all right, what am I selling here?
Because
he's probably got a sense of the social media, the social media around this place.
Even the reprimand statement with the quote that was attributed to Yormark was kind of softened, because he said that, hey, and I'm paraphrasing, and if you want to go read it yourself, you can, although why would you? It's at Big12Sports.com. He said something along the lines of, hey, even though they have an event management plan, which is well thought out but was not executed properly or whatever, it seemed a little bit different than the typical kind of Bob Bowlesby boilerplate, where it sounds like the teacher in Peanuts, wah, 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 wah. All right, moving on. This on the Yates Flooring Center chat line. I got that reference right. That's Peanuts.
Yeah, that had like Snoopy's.
The teacher.
Charlie Brown's teacher.
Yeah,
wah,
okay.
wah, 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 wah.
Dickens, you always say how you can tell how well a coach will do in his tenure by the early results. After a few recent misses, I think we're headed in the right direction with JM. So I hope you're right.
Yep.
Nothing would make me happier. I think what you're referring to is the idea that you know what you have with coaches by year 3. Like if they're going to elevate the paradigm of your program, if they're not going to do it by year 3, odds are it's not going to happen. There are exceptions.
Yep.
You can throw them at me if you want. I get it. I mean, Frank Beamer is one of them. But for the most part, if you've got someone in place that's going to take you to the proverbial next level, whatever that is, it's going to happen inside of 3 years. You're going to know by year 3.
Yeah, and we could throw some just recent local examples at that. Within 2 years. I mean, Tadlock had the Cinderella Omaha deal, but you knew in that second year, like, so these guys are buying in. This thing's getting better. Beard's second year, Tubby Smith's second year. I mean, we could probably run through some lists, and it doesn't mean they had it all figured out and it was at peak efficient. It just means like you can sort of see the worm has turned.
Mike
here.
had that 9-win season in 2002 where he beat Texas and A&M. All right, some thoughts on the Yates Flooring Center chat line. I'm going to skip a lot of the field rushing stuff just because it doesn't – I mean, what is there to say about it? Somebody says this, is there a nicer trash talker than Sonny Dykes after beating SMU? It's like the LDS guys that get the door slammed in their face and taking one step in the grass just to show them. This on the Yates Flooring Center chat line.
I think I will say this about Sonny. He was glad to have that game over with.
I bet he was. There was a really good article in The Athletic.
Yeah,
I saw that game.
Yep, and it looked like he handled it all well. There was a picture in that article. It looked about like a 15-year-old kid just double barrel him over the rail, like as they're leaving the field. And so it was like, well, they don't all love you, but he was. I think him, getting up the ramp, putting the W in the column, and getting out of there is probably a big deal because that can't be easy playing at the place you were just coaching, and all the people that were on your side one year.
Well,
next year.
We're not that far away from experiencing that ourselves. Luckily, you got the results that you wanted
exactly
in the winter and the spring. This in the Yates Flooring Center chat line. K-State is in the same situation as Texas Tech. Big emotional win. That's true, right? I mean, this is going to be a culture and character test for the Wildcats just as much as it will be for the Red Raiders in terms of how quickly can you turn the page and move forward. I love that the game is at 11 a.m. I think that's great. That's perfect. I would have hoped for an 11 a.m. kick for the Oklahoma State game the following weekend, but it's going to be 2:30. That's fine. Yeah, there you go. This from the Yates Flooring Center chat line. My Texas friends thought I was trolling them when I said on Friday that last week's game against NC State was harder to win than at a home versus Texas. This on the Yates Flooring Center chat line from our friend El Jefe. You need to add a Sarkeesian to that Suck It Steve soundbite. Even better if it's obvious it's a voiceover or doesn't fit the tone of the original audio.
All you need is
just say like Sarkeesian.
I could just go Sarkeesian.
Just Sark. Although I guess Steve Sark wouldn't do the
Sarkeesian. Yeah, you got to do full.
This on the Yates Flooring Center chat line. AD, would you say that the stands opened up and dumped? Yeah, I think that's probably pretty accurate.
The funny thing was after the regulation field goal with 20 seconds left, there was a lot of legs dangling off the off the walls over there, like, oh man, and you could see them all moving down, sort of like you'd see in basketball, like, okay, and then the unbelievable throw and catch and field goal to tie it, and then you get the Robinson fumble to start overtime, and it just sets the stage. Like,
then like
the same thing.
Man,
it was kind of teed up like 08, not to that magnitude, but it was teed up like that.
Granted, I was a mess by the end of that game, right? Just a ball of nerves.
You're just emotional, yeah.
Yeah, sure. And philosophically, I like, intellectually, take my brain out of my body. Love just like going for it to win the game with a touchdown, right? Not leaving it up to chance and
kicking it on second down from the 20 or whatever. Yeah, sure. I'm with you on that.
But man, when you got it down to like the half-yard line and it's fourth down and you're kicking from what seemed like the edge of the field, and then everybody's kind of getting primed to like jump on the field afterward, just as if it's some kind of like gimme kick. I was not,
It's just the karma of it was
tempting some
just
fate
a lot.
there. It seemed.
Yeah, that was a. And there were some, because there was some in my group going, why not kick it on third down here? And I was thinking, no, they're gonna try to center that thing up, but they ran another play, and Kitley talked about it today. Like, somebody asked him, and
it was right there. Like they were that close to getting it.
Because Donovan fell down, he really kind of slipped, so they thought he would have just punched it in, but he. So the decision was there to go try to score the touchdown. He said, no, we were going to be conservative about it. And he said, and on the play where Donovan slipped, Morton was in the game.
Oh, yeah, no.
In that other deal. And he said, and he was wide open. So it's like,
and he kind of hit his arm.
Yeah, like note to self. But I think Donovan was probably like, no, this is we're right here. It's teed up. But yeah, that was you don't see that many just super short field goals anymore. I mean, when I was a young kid and the posts were at the front of the at the goal line, you would see like a 9-yard field goal, and it was all about kicking that thing straight up because it would get blocked.
Well,
but that thing was about as short as it gets, and then to have angle.
Goalposts kind of took center stage this weekend after what happened there in Arlington.
Yeah,
with the game between.
I still haven't seen it. I've read the description. I was actually looking for it today, and I didn't get to see it.
It's as completely dumb as it sounds. Like, I mean, the kick literally just kind of like falls right on top of. And did you see the article after the fact that if that game was played in College Station or in Fayetteville,
their
goalposts are not as high. The NFL regulates the goalposts have to be at least 35 feet high or inch or whatever. Not inches, clearly feet. Whereas college, I think, has to be at minimum 30, and so it probably still would not have been good because it has to go between the uprights, not over them.
Right.
But it would have been more of a judgment call for the officials. Whereas as it happened, it doinked and fell in front.
Easy call.
I should have seen that one coming. More Tech Talk next. Suck it, Steve.
Sarkeesian.
The podcast put together with Red Raider fans in mind. This is the Tech Talk Podcast from Double T 97.3.
It's Tech Talk on Double T 97.3 and Double T 97.3.com with my good friends Mike Gustafson and Clint Scott. I'm Aaron Dickens. Thrilled to be with you on this bright amazing Monday where the sky is just a little bit bluer, sun shining just a little bit brighter, birds singing, traffic amazing, everybody's wonderful. Love to hear your thoughts and comments on the Yates Flooring Center chat line at doublet973.com. You can also access that through the Double T 97.3 mobile app presented by Happy State Bank. We have this on the Yates Flooring Center chat line. Let's see. If you're just joining us, if you tuned in a little bit late, which is totally cool. I mean, not even my mom listened to the whole 3 hours. We're not really going to mess with the storm rushing or the field rushing thing. It is what it is. Tech was fined $50,000 for it. You know, in general, you shouldn't be a jerk to people if you can help it. That applies whether you're rushing the field or if you're in line at the grocery store. The end. I don't know that we need to really litigate it much beyond that. This in the chat line. Great effort all around on Saturday. However, they do need to do something about that horse. Nothing gets the crowd juiced like a half-effort trot. See, Gus, this is proof that even when you win, even when you beat, arguably your biggest rival, at least from your perspective, nothing's ever perfect.
Yeah, and I think there was some miscommunication, and it had to do, of course, the horse runs and the cannons go off, and there's no team, and the team was late. I think that was the acknowledged, for whether it was intentional, unintentional, miscommunication, who knows? But it wasn't the horse and the cheer and all that stuff that missed on the script. It was the team being a little late.
Yeah, and I don't.
Yeah, I'm not worried about it. I'm not losing sleep over that. Oh. You know what I got out of that? All of that happening, and then 3 F-18s flying over. Apparently, one of them flown by a tech grad, Lubbock girl, something like that.
How was that?
Yeah, one of the 3 was a lady, and I think she was the tech grad Lubbock native. I think I'm right about that. And if I'm not right, please text in and clean that up.
This from MC. Glad the game went better than the pregame routine. Trey says this in the Yates Flooring Center chat line, kind of rubbing salt in the wound a little bit for you.
All right.
He says, I sit in section 103 and can confirm that we did not get our car wash vouchers. Oh, wow. Unlucky. This on the
That's
Yates.
right, pal. You bet you didn't. You didn't rightfully deserve those vouchers anyway.
This on the Yates Flooring Center chat line. I think we need to discuss how Jeff McGuire was talking trash about Tech from the media booth online, and he gets paid to talk about Tech. Why does he work there again? I have no idea what you're talking about. Is it just like Twitter stuff?
I have no idea.
Oh.
We've been questioning this all day, and we questioned it on Saturday too.
This in the Yates Flooring Center chat line. How about Hamby and his offensive line of the work that they did with the professional Texas defensive line? Great bounce back from NC State. Yeah, I think really, and you could probably say this about most groups on the team, and hopefully it continues. And I think it's very maybe easy to kind of, say this, assume this when you win, because when you lose, everything sucks.
Yeah.
But it does seem like week to week to week, you have gotten better up front, right? Like the Houston performance was not very good on the offensive line side of things, right? You gave a million sacks. It just wasn't great. And you were better against NC State. You weren't great. You weren't amazing. You weren't. I wouldn't even say you were just super good there. But I think you were visibly better. And
pass protection was better. I think that was was our talking point a week ago today.
And then Saturday, I think you were better. It could have, still plenty of room for improvement. But yeah, I thought you took a step forward there. And I will tell you this. I will tell you this too. And I don't know how many folks have acknowledged this, or even recognized this, or even saw this, despite how often this clip has probably been played in Tech households over the last, 48 hours or so. Caleb Rogers has taken some heat over the first 4 games at times, some penalties, some certainly he'll have nightmares about facing that one kid from Houston for a while. But he forever has a fan in me now. Let me tell you.
Let's hear it.
If you watch that kick in overtime, the Trey Wolf game winner,
The short one from the hash. Yeah.
And chaos erupts immediately after the two officials throw their hands up, right?
Yeah.
And
I've heard about this. I haven't seen it.
If you watch that clip, right, there's almost too much going on. I mean, there's just fans streaming over onto the field, and the players are kind of going this way and that way and everywhere, and people are celebrating. But if you watch Caleb Rogers, and Graham Harrell did the same thing in 2008, which, again, forever cemented a spot in my heart for Graham Harrell. Caleb Rogers found time to go up to a Longhorn player and let him know how he felt. And, talk a little mess. Love that. I love that so much. Yeah, I mean, I actually think it was Keandre Coburn, I think it was, number 99. But either way, tremendous. Tremendous. He let him have it. I think that was great. You want some of that, I think, in not everybody. You can't have a whole team full of those people.
Right.
But you need to have some of those people.
Some of that, yeah. That's not the worst thing, because those kind of dudes, it's hard to say exactly what it is they give a team. Maybe a little courage. Swagger's probably an overused word. A little edge. That's a good way to say it. And I thought baseball had that 2 or 3 years ago with Cal Conley and Drew Baker and those dudes. You beat. You're playing at Tallahassee in front of a full house. You get the final out of the game, and you fire the ball into their dugout. Is it model sportsmanship? No, but it's the kind of thing like, yeah, and we'll be here tomorrow. And so it's like, it's just there's some edge. I think that the dudes that are sort of in the middle emotionally can kind of look over there and go, like, okay, and like it that stuff can kind of rub off a little bit.
Maybe it's not what you would teach your own child to do.
Exactly.
But you want someone like that on your child's team.
You bet.
If that makes sense.
Yep.
And I think left tackle is one of those positions where you want that kind of confidence, that kind of edge. I mean, heck, I remember Shannon Woods. I think I relayed this story last week or sometime. 2007 here in Lubbock, scores a touchdown in the north end zone, and hey, thumbs down right in front of the Corps Cadets. Again, it's that kind of stuff that makes these types of series memorable and good.
Weston Wright notably returned to the lineup last week, and that's one of your veteran linemen. Coach McGuire talked about that. Because he was coming off a pretty good ankle sprain. They carted him off in the Houston game, and it didn't look good. And the talking point was not only that he was healthy and going to play, but that he had a good week of practice, like felt good, and just how that stabilizes things. You start stringing together more games with guys healthy and playing together. Most of the time, a group like an offensive line, especially under a new coach, new system, they're going to get better.
More Tech Talk next.
It's every Red Raiders' favorite podcast. This is the Tech Talk Podcast from Double T 97.3.
Hello there, it's Tech Talk on Double T 97.3 and Double T 97.3.com alongside Mike Gustafson and Clint Scott. I'm Aaron Dickens. We'd love to hear your thoughts and your comments today on the Yates Flooring Center chat line at Double T 97.3.com or through the Double T 97.3 mobile app presented by Happy State Bank. This in the chat line. I love that Tech went and won that game on Saturday. It seems like Tech in years past, when up on teams like Texas and Oklahoma, they would jump up to a lead and then hope they can hold on long enough for time to expire and only to lose it in the end. I agree with you. I also love that Tech won that game on Saturday.
Yep, and the in a comeback nature, because I made a point to look at when it was 31-17 because I knew it was third quarter. And my instinct was, midway through the third quarter, down 31-17. It was actually with 4 minutes and 27 seconds. So late in the third quarter was when Bijan took that little, kind of tiptoed, stayed in balance, and gathered himself and just cruised to a 40-yard touchdown run. So at that point, it was 31-17. I thought, there was a lot of big plays down the stretch in that thing, but there was a point in that sequence, maybe right after that, in which Tech didn't convert a fourth down, but immediately turned around and stuffed Texas on a fourth down. Got the ball right back, and
that was at the goal line.
Oh well,
was it not?
No. This was out in midfield. We didn't convert a fourth, and then we held them on a fourth.
Got it. Okay.
You're talking about
the punt.
yeah,
right,
where we
yeah.
went for it.
Sure.
Got stuffed on that, but kept them in the end zone. They had a goofy penalty that I was like, yeah, that penalty cost them a yard or whatever, but it took the air out of their dry. They took a long shot, they took a deep shot, from their own one. They ran a play, got a yard, deep shot, maybe another penalty, and then something else, and then punted from their own one, and then immediately went right back and scored. And that might have been to tie it, I think, at that point at 31. But yeah, that so the 2 fourth down misses are in the sequence that we're talking about that came very late. But that the fact that we go for it at fourth, don't get it, and then turn right around and get them in a stop on a failed fourth down attempt and get the ball right back. I thought, you know what, this steal, McGuire had talked about giving them 911 shirts. That's what the defense was wearing, these 911 shirts all last week, and it was basically, we're called in to put out the fire, and he goes, and that was it right there. We turn it over on downs and not allowing them just to go down, and like you said, in the past, that could be a sieve. 3 plays later, touchdown. You're like,
how many times have we seen, the defense, even in years when they've been bad, put up this kind of relatively heroic effort that is kind of just not, the offense fails to capitalize on it, and then, after so many stands, like you said, the dam breaks and it's just over. We've seen that play out dozens of times, it feels like.
And I feel like part of that is, and Coach DeRuiter talked about this today, that he feels like they're getting maybe better play from Hutchings and Bradford and those guys, but it had to do with sort of what you're saying. In the past, they've had to play all of it, because there was these 2 starters, and then the rest of it was a lot. It was just a thinner group. Now you're able to, rotate some dudes. Instead of playing 90 snaps, they're playing 50 snaps.
Well, and in this case, you did have a lot of players play the whole game, but since they only played 60 snaps,
yes,
right, and that's you are playing, at least you did Saturday, and let's hope this continues, and no reason to expect it not to continue, but you're playing really good complementary football. Right? I mean, you're not just, hey, let's throw it 3 times and 3 and out. Okay, well, back to you guys on defense, I mean, like there is synergy there that worked out perfectly, and it helped that you converted those fourth downs, obviously. Yep. But it clearly worked in your favor on Saturday.
I think I heard in the post-game radio, just in the car driving home, that we had 5 double-digit play drives. There was like a 17, a 15, a 12, 11, and a 10, or something like that. And they might have been a field goal. I'm not saying they were all touchdowns, but we had 100 snaps offensively. And, complementary football has been something that's, I don't know how long it's been around. It's probably been around for a long time. I can remember hearing Belichick and some of those guys talk about it. But it really hasn't been part of the parlance at Texas Tech, partly because I think we've been a little undermanned, and we've really bought into, A, the air raid, or B, just NASCAR high tempo, feeling like the only way we could really create offense was by playing fast all the time. And, and I'm not saying it was tricked up, but it's like this, the inability to go get in the huddle, run the clock down into 5 seconds, snap it, get a first down that way, make a play, do whatever, and drag them out. Texas looked tired. Their defense at the end was the one on their heels, not ours. And that's, and yes, we can point to conditioning, but I think that's the flow of the game that has a lot more to do with that.
I mean, your last drive of regulation, in your field goal, the go-ahead field goal that ultimately was not the game winner, it was only, in air quotes, 56 yards. It wasn't like a 95, more than 5 minutes. I mean, that's...
Yeah, got the ball with about 6 minutes left.
And 5:26.
Because my son and I were joking, like, how about a 5-minute and 24-second drive right here,
you just about
fellas?
got it.
Ha, ha, ha. And yeah, we ran it down to 22 and milked their timeouts. And and pushed us late and then made a big kick. But yeah, just the, and I maybe the biggest play of the game, if it's possible to say this, is 4th and 3 at midfield, and we're going for it. And, and people around me are groaning, and because you're right there, you're 4th and 3 at midfield, you don't get it.
It's over.
Yeah, they get a first down, and it's over. I mean, then they're lining up and they're in field goal range. Obviously, I had a good kicker, and convert the 4th to 3, and and then go on, like you said, not only milk a bunch of clock, but go down and then make the kick to ultimately put them up by 3.
Because we haven't really seen him do that right so far, in terms of and I don't know that anybody's ever seen a coach in major college football go for it on 4th down 8 times, at least not any time, recently.
Well, yeah.
In the Big 12, I guess. Is that just who Tech is now moving forward, do you think? Do you think they were kind of not saving this? That's kind of overplayed, but because the same principles I would think would apply Saturday and the next week and the week after in terms of sequencing the plays.
Right. That when you're at 4th and 9, it's okay to get 6 because you're going.
3rd and 9, yeah.
Yeah, I'm sorry, 3rd and 9.
4th
it's
and
okay
9
to get
6.
Yeah, don't do that. Don't do that. Well, I think Baylor went for it more on 4th down last year than it was at a really high rate. It was among the leaders in FBS last year. And so Coach McGuire's bringing that here with him, right? So I get home. We talked about this. We're all exhausted, whether emotionally or whatever. Long, hot day in the stadium, all of the above. We settle in and watch. I settled in and watched. I kept my eyes on that K-State game because I'm like, oh, we got some intrigue here, right? And then what do we have? We have 2 mid-third quarter. Two Brenton Venables just go for it. 1 4th and 4. One was a 4th and whatever. Not because they're down 3 scores and hair's on fire or whatever. Just nope. This is just the flow of the game. And I might have texted you, but I texted a couple buddies of mine. I was like, it's the new day. It's a new day. Because here you got 2 brand new Big 12 head coaches, and they didn't bat an eye. And it wasn't, let's call timeout and talk about this or whatever. It's like, okay, 4th and 3, and here comes the jumbo package or the jet package or whatever, and here comes the play, and here we go.
Tech already has 15 attempts.
Probably leads
this season, leads the Big 12 by far. Yeah. Baylor is next. K-State is actually tied as well. They have 11 through 4 games. You know what Tech is very, very good at right now? And it's if you look at kind of Big 12 conference rankings, like passing offense or scoring defense, you're kind of middling. You're not terrible at really anything, but you're also not just top of the table on really a lot. But you are easily the best in the Big 12 at this, and one of the 10 or so best Power 5 teams in this department as well. You are very, very good at once a team enters the red zone, keeping them out of the end zone. You've only allowed 33% of all red zone trips to convert into touchdowns.
That's a big deal. I'm glad you said that. It's something that, again, I had heard Belichick talk about 6-8 years ago, and what they were really talking about is the idea you don't really line up and stop people. You don't hold teams to 130 yards anymore, but you have to play good red zone defense because those are 4-point plays.
Yep.
Those are 7s that are turns to 3s.
You've been listening to the Tech Talk podcast from Double T 97.3. Check out Double T973.com for more from Lubbock Sports Station.